Breaking news! Howie Roseman is counting down the hours until the 2025 draft, and it looks like we're in for a few surprises. I'll give you all the details in a moment, but first make sure you've hit the like button if you're a true Eagles fan. If you are, write something like this: Go Eagles! Let's fly high! The Eagles have a golden opportunity with a draft class packed with talent and depth, especially at key positions where the Eagles can afford to be aggressive and creative. Let's begin with the quarterback position, not because the Eagles need one, but because of how their current structure gives them the rare freedom to develop a potential future asset. Jalen Hurts is the guy. There's no question. A Super Bowl MVP coming off the two best performances of his career on the biggest stage. But behind him, that's where it gets interesting. Kenny Pickett's trade was a statement. Philly believes in Tanner McKee. There's also Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the dual-threat former UCLA Bruin, who had a rocky start in the NFL but was good enough to warrant a top 30 visit in his draft year. If he falters, keep an eye on Kyle McCord. He's arguably the most realistic developmental target, especially with his gunslinger mentality and 4 800-yard, 37-touchdown season at Syracuse. He's not mobile, but he's surgical from the pocket, the type of player who might thrive in a stable, quarterback-friendly organization like the Eagles. Now, the running back room is already stacked. Saquon Barkley just delivered the most productive season by a running back in NFL history with over 2,000 yards. And behind him, A.J. Dillon and Will Shipley are set to battle for RB2 duties. Ty Davis-Price is a physical back who struggles in the passing game, but he's another tool in the box. Still, if the right player falls, the Eagles might pull the trigger. R.J. Harvey from UCF could be that guy, a true dual threat back with 16 touchdowns in 2023 and 22 more in 2024, plus 39 receptions over those 2 seasons. Then there's the brute force of Damian Martinez, a Miami transfer who leaves defenders flatlined. Exactly the type of power back Philly fans love. Wide receiver? It's easy to say Philly is set with A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith forming one of the NFL's most lethal duos. But depth is crucial. Terrace Marshall was a smart signing, and Jahan Dotson has shown flashes, especially in the playoffs. But this draft offers intriguing mid-to-late round options who could carve out roles. Jaden Higgins is the prototypical physical outside threat, and his ability to block and fight for the ball screams Eagle. Meanwhile, Alec Ayamanor out of Stanford brings elite speed and upside. Savion Williams might be the most fascinating of the bunch, part Cordarrelle Patterson, part Deebo Samuel, a Swiss Army knife with return ability and a knack for breaking tackles. He's raw, but under Sirianni and Brian Johnson, that rawness could become pure electricity. At tight end, the question looms, what's Dallas Goedert's future? With a big cap hit and an uncertain injury history, Philly might be preparing for life without him. Mason Taylor out of LSU is rising fast, 6'5", 251 pounds, sub 4.7 speed, and a natural pass catcher with good hands. His blocking needs work, but the upside is obvious. Then there's Harold Fannin from Bowling Green, who put up one of the most absurd tight end seasons we've ever seen. 117 catches, 1,500 yards, and 10 touchdowns. He's not big or fast, but he's always open, and the Eagles' front office has noticed. Up front, the offensive line remains elite, even with the departure of Mike Becton. Tyler Steen will get his shot, but keep an eye on developmental guys like Charles Grant, a converted wrestler with 41 college starts who's raw but nasty in the trenches. Zabel out of North Dakota State is another versatile lineman who can play anywhere and might be in play at pick 32. The interior has options, and Howie Roseman's love for trench warfare means someone like Tate Ratledge, who only gave up 1 sack last season at Georgia, could be a plug-and-play starter. This is the beauty of where the Eagles stand right now. With 10 of 11 offensive starters from the Super Bowl expected to return, the draft becomes less about need and more about enhancing long-term sustainability. Philadelphia can take swings on upside. They can afford to stash and develop. They can take calculated risks on players with high ceilings, even if the floor isn't clear yet.
That's the full breakdown on the offensive side of the ball. From quarterback depth to potential late-round wideout gems to a new generation of tight ends and trench warriors, the Eagles have options. They have power. And most importantly, they have vision. But now, I want to hear from you. Which offensive player are you pounding the table for? Who's your draft crush for the Birds this year? Drop it down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Shifting gears to the defensive side of the ball. This is where things get really spicy for the Eagles heading into the 2025 NFL Draft. After retooling the offense and solidifying the quarterback situation, the Eagles have an opportunity to load up on defense, particularly in the trenches, a place Howie Roseman always prioritizes. With Vic Fangio now in charge of the defense, the fit and versatility of these prospects will matter more than ever, and this draft class happens to be stacked with players who fit his mold. Let's start at edge rusher, where the Eagles are expected to make a serious investment. Even after signing Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari to one-year deals, the long-term plan demands more firepower. Mike Green out of Marshall might be the ultimate wild card. He's got legal and character concerns, but if those boxes check out, he's arguably one of the most talented edge rushers in the entire class. 17 sacks, 23 TFLs, and 59 pressures in 2024. That kind of production is insane. His bend, burst, and motor make him an absolute nightmare coming off the edge. Then there's James Pierce from Tennessee, who has similar production and athletic traits. A little lankier, but just as dangerous. And probably a safer pick in terms of character. Vic Fangio loves versatility and power in his edge players, and that's exactly what Donovan Ezaraku brings. He's not a twitchy pass rusher like Green or Pierce, but he's a grinder with 16.5 sacks and 60 pressures at Boston College. He fits Fangio's scheme beautifully as a read and react guy who holds up against the run. Jack Sawyer from Ohio State is another grinder. Think Trent Cole vibes. He won't wow you with athleticism, but his motor and production scream Philly. The front office is also reportedly high on Nick Scarton, who has inside-out versatility, played at Texas A&M and Purdue, and produced 15 sacks over the last 2 seasons. Now, Braden Swinson from LSU deserves a serious look. He's a bit of a late bloomer, but fits perfectly in Fangio's 3-4 system as a stand-up outside linebacker. Long arms, twitch, scheme versatility, and a relentless motor. Swinson might not be a household name yet, but don't be shocked if he's one of those mid-round picks who turns into a fan favorite by year 2. On the interior defensive line, it's all about Walter Nolan. If he somehow falls to 32, this could be one of the biggest steals of the draft. A former #1 high school recruit, Nolan is 300 pounds of twitch, power, and violence. He didn't pan out at Texas A&M, but found new life at Ole Miss in 2024 and put together a dominant season. He can stop the run, rush the passer, and his ceiling is as high as any defensive tackle in the class. He's the kind of guy who can replace Milton Williams and play next to Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis to form a terrifying trio. There's plenty of depth here too. Darius Alexander out of Toledo is 24 years old, but has NFL-ready technique and production. Alfred Collins is a physical freak from Texas, and Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee has the burst to be a disruptive 3-tech.